cookies. Second one, URL rewriting. Third one, HTTP sessions. Fourth one, hidden form fields. Can we implement HTTP sessions independently? No. HTTP sessions with cookies or with URL rewriting. So either HTTP sessions with cookies or HTTP sessions with URL reading we can write, but only HTTP sessions not possible. Okay. That means 1, 2, this is 3, 4, 5 like that. Okay. This HTTP sessions only 2 types we can implement, with cookies, with URL rewriting. Now. If you want to implement HTTP sessions, HTTP session interface required. No done. No done is all methods not done. HTTP session interface methods. Get creation time, get ID, get lost access time, set max inactive interval, get max inactive interval, get attribute, set attribute, remove attribute, invalidate is new. Get creation time return, get ID, get lost access time. So this is, it is used to set the time interval. Remaining all same names are there. It is used to set the time interval in seconds. It is used to set the time interval in seconds. it is used to vanish the session ID. Now, is it completed? These are HTTP session interface methods. HTTP session interface methods. See, first method, get creation time. Get creation time. When session is created, that time in long format returns. But long format, if you print, only one number printed. That long, we have to convert into date and time format. For that, you can use util.date class, util java.util package date class. So whatever you are getting creation time here, this is if you pass in java.util.date class constructor, you will get a time, date and time. Get ID, session ID comes, session ID. But session ID is string format, because already I told you session ID alphanumeric will be there. Alphabets, digits mixed. That's what string format written. Get last accessed time. When your session is accessed last, that time also returns. See, whenever you open bank websites, when you accessed a bank website last, that date and time also it will show. Whether you accessed, other people accessed, you can find out. That last accessed time also we can get it. Set max inactive interval. Time you can set in seconds format. get max inactive interval. How much time period is there? We can find out. Here, set attribute, get attribute, remove attribute. Set attribute means add it to server. Get attribute means retrieved from server. Remove attribute means removed from server. These are set, get, remove. Three methods. Like in a cookie constructor, you have seen two parameter, name of the cookie, value of the cookie. Here set attribute, name of the session, value of the session. Name if you pass, you'll get a value. Name if you pass, that value removed. Invalidate, session vanished. Whenever you click on logout hyperlink, session is going to be vanished. There logout hyperlink will write this method. Is new. If it is new session, returns true. Already existed session is there, false. Whether it is new session or old session, you can find out with is new method. You already studied cookies URL reading. Cookies and URL reading you studied. By default, when cookies are vanished, whenever browser window is closed. Is it possible to set the time interval for cookies? Yes. Which method we use? Set max age method. Set max age method in cookie class. With that we can set. Here by default sessions are vanished after 30 minutes in a Tomcat server. And if you want to set the mag in a time interval, you can use this method. That is note down. Note, by default, sessions are vanished after 30 minutes in a Tomcat server. 30 minutes, nothing but second format displayed. 30 minutes equivalent to how many seconds? 1800. By default, sessions are vanished after 30 minutes in a Tomcat server. 1800 seconds. 30 minutes equal to 1800 seconds. 30 into 60. 1800. So after 1800 seconds, automatically vanished. If you want to set less time or more time, you can use set max inactive interval method. But here seconds format you have to pass. By default 30 minutes. You want 1 minute only, you can use. You want 2 days, you can use. But 2 days if you want to set, calculate, write. Or otherwise you can write directly in the set max inactive interval method. 2 into 24 into 60 into 60, like that you can write. Like that we can find out. Okay. So 2 days also, 3 days also you can set. And if you want less time, 1 minute, 2 minutes also you can set. Same method you can use. Now, these all methods if you want to use, first of all, HTTP session required. How to get HTTP session? I'll show you. Is it over? Now, Java P Jakarta dot Soulet dot HTTP dot HTTP Soulet request. In this, methods are there to get the session. Node. Get session, get session. Both will return HTTP session. I'll give you examples. Through both are get session methods only. Methods name same. parameter list different. It is called method overloading. One parameter, no parameter. Method overloading. Get session method overloaded in HTTP Servlet request. Both the methods for getting HTTP session only. What is the difference? I'll explain. See, if you want to call these methods, first method, if you want to call, what we have to write? Return type HTTP session, something HS1 equal to HTTP Servlet request reference request dot get session. It will take Boolean. That means what we can pass? True or false. Suppose true if you write. And even if you write second one, HTTP session HS2 equal to request dot get session. If you write, these both are same. No difference. Here, get session true if you write, only get session if you write. This is first method I called, I pass it true. It is second method called, I didn't pass parameter. Both will return same. What is this description? If the session already exists, then it returns existed session. If the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, it creates a new session and returns. If the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, it creates a new session and returns. If the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, it creates a new session and returns. Suppose HTTP session HS3 equal to request dot get session false. If you write, if the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, if the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, it returns null. It does not create a session. Otherwise, it returns null. If it is there, returns. Not there, null. I'll explain. In example, I'll explain. Write this one. If the session already exists, then it returns existed session. Otherwise, it returns null. Is it over? Now, if you write like this or if you write like this, both are same. There is no difference. But if you write like this, there is a difference. Already session variable is there. That is returned. Not there. Null will be returned. Here already is there. That returned. Not there. Creates and returns. Okay. Now in the program I'll explain. Just this point remember, in the program I'll explain. First, to understand these all methods, one program I'll write. Actual session tracking method, next program I'll give. For understanding these all methods, one program I'll write. Is it over? Say, one program I'll write to understand these all methods, whatever I taught. Say, file, new, dynamic web project. Suppose session one project name. Next, finish. Here, right click, new, solid. Suppose project name session one, class name, suppose session demo. Next, suppose this is just a demo, I'll write. Next, which type of request coming? Get. Then which method you have to override? Do get. So if method equal to post, if you write in HTML program, then only post to type request. Remaining all places, get type request. Finish. Now, first HTTP session reference required. For getting HTTP session reference, what we have to write? HTTP session HS equal to request dot get session. Okay. Get session. If I write like this, now if the session already present, assume session already present, that session return. If not there, creates a new session and returns. Suppose very first time I'll send the request. Very first time I'll send the request. Session is there? No. What it will do now? Creates and returns. Suppose second time I'll send the request. Session will be there, no? What it will do? that session only returns. But it won't create. It won't create. Suppose if I write false, very first time, I'll send the request. Session is there, but what it will return? Null. If it is null, can you call with this reference? Can you call other methods? No, null pointer exception comes. So this is not suitable for this program. This program not suitable. Very first time I'll send the request. Then null pointer exception comes. There is no session, but it won't create new. In this situation, this is not suitable. We should not write. Okay. When that is suitable, I'll show you. For this program, it is not suitable. Now I want to print session ID. I want to print session ID. Which method you have to call? Which method? Get ID. Get ID. Get ID return type string. String sc equal to hs dot get ID. This ID I want to print. How to print? Print writer pw equal to response dot get writer. Pw dot println. Yes. Then ID printed. But instead of writing like this, these two lines can I write as a one line? These two lines can I write as a one line? Yes. What do you have to write? hs dot get ID. Get ID. ID printed. Pw dot println. I want to print. Time interval. Get creation time. I want to print creation time. What we have to call? hs dot get creation time. But creation time, which format printed? Long format printed. The long you have to pass in a date class constructor. Then this parameter you can pass in date class constructor. Then you'll get it date and time. So actually get creation time method returns long. The long, whatever is returning long, that long I passed in date class constructor. Then it returns date and time. When the session is created, that time returns. When it is last accessed, I want to print. Which method you have to call? Get last accessed time. But that is also you have to pass in date class constructor. So new date. hs dot get last accessed time. Get last accessed time. So here all session methods I am calling. I call get creation time. I call get ID. I call get last accessed time. By default, how much time period session will stay? 30 minutes. If you want to change this method required. So I don't want to change. That is only I want to continue. If you want to get this method, you can call get max inactive interval. See pw dot println hs dot get max inactive interval. What it returns? Half an hour. Nothing but 1800 seconds returns. 1800 seconds returns. Get attribute, set attribute, remove attribute while teaching session tracking method. Again, Java books, adding time, I'll explain. Invalidate. If you call this method, session ID vanished. Is new. Whether it is new session or old session, we can find out. Is new method you can call. Pw dot println hs dot is new. Whether it is new or old, we can read them. We can get it. Up to here, you observe. While printing, I'll print like this. Session ID. Okay. Session ID. I'm printing session ID. It is creation time. Creation time. Last access time. Time interval. Time interval 1800 seconds. New session. If it is true, it is new, true returns. False, false. New session, true or false. Now, I'll run this program. See. Year date class not imported. There are two date classes. Java.sql.date, java.util.date. We require java.util. Finish. Now we can run. Run on server. Save. What is the URL pattern I given? Demo. See, we didn't write HTML. That's what plain text. See, session ID. See, alphanumeric mixed. See, how many letters are there? So many are there. 30-40 letters are there. When created, see, Saturday, May 13, 11:46, 16. When last accessed, same time. How much time interval? 1800 seconds. It is new session, true. If I send request again, is it ID changed? No. Is it creation time changed? Is it last access time changed? Yes. And is it time interval changed? No. New session? Yes. This is changed. This is changed. If I refresh, see, created 46:16 seconds, but last accessed 47:13. It is not a new session. False. Remaining same, you observe. If I refresh, while refreshing, only this is changed now. Here false only. Previously it was true. This is session tracking methods example. Okay. It is not session tracking, only session methods I explained. This is session ID created. This ID unique in the server. Worldwide, crores of people will do shopping, but every user one ID created. This ID alphanumeric. It is unique. Until you log out, that ID maintained. With that ID only, it can recognize whether ABC client or XYZ client, like that. With ID only, it can recognize. See, I explained yesterday. Token number. The ID nothing but equal to token number. Two shopping malls are there with security, like that. I explained, no? Like that. So this ID nothing but it's like a token number type. Now, this program not done. Program to demonstrate HTTP session methods. Program to demonstrate HTTP session methods. Program to demonstrate HTTP session methods. So HTTP servlet request reference dot get session, you will get a HTTP session. With that, get ID, session ID comes. Get creation time, long format comes. In the date class constructor passed, then date and time printed. Here same last accessed time, it is long format comes, passed in date class constructor, then date and time printed. Get max inactive interval, by default 1800 seconds, that is 1800 seconds printed. Is it new session or old session? We can get it. New session, true. New session, false, like that. Whether it is old session or new session, you can understand. These all HTTP session methods I explained. Get ID, get creation time, get last access time, get max inactive interval is new. Okay. Is it completed? Now, HTTP sessions, it is a third session tracking method. This session tracking method we cannot implement independently. It is always depending on either cookies or URL rewriting. So, first one, HTTP sessions with cookies, I'll explain. Note on. HTTP sessions with cookies. In this session tracking method, session ID created by web container comma passed to client system and stored in cookie variable. In this session tracking method, session ID created by web container passed to client system and stored in cookie variable. In this session tracking method, session ID created by web container, comma passed to client system and stored in cookie variable. In this session tracking method, session ID created by web container, passed to client system and stored in cookie variable. Here, client state information stored in session variables at server side. Here client state information stored in session variables at server side. Here, by using session ID, server can recognize server can recognize the client. With session ID only, client it can understand. It can recognize the client. Here by using session ID, server can recognize the client. Is it over? Now, one diagram I'll explain. With that, you will get a more clarity. Is it over? Say, you studied session tracking methods. How many session tracking methods are there? 4. What is first one? Second one? Third one? Fourth one, in first session tracking method, client state information where it is stored. Browser memory, client side. Second session tracking method, appended to URL. Third session tracking method, it is going to be stored in server. It is going to be stored in server. But all people items in server only. But how server knows is whose items? With session ID. That's what your ID required. 1 minute. That ID web server it's like a web client. No. First, what will happen? See, login request comes. Login request. Very first time. Suppose online shopping example only. First, user will enter username and password. The request comes. What server will do? Communicates with database. Given username, password is there or not, it will check. If it is there, for that, one shopping cart created in server, one ID created, that ID password to client system. So here constructs login response and creates a session ID. Constructs login response, and creates a session ID. Then what will happen is login response comes, session ID comes. Login response. Login response comes plus session ID comes. See, very first time from client system, you will send the request, username and password. That is called login request. It will check in the database, username, password is there or not. That is only called constructs login response. After that, session ID created. That ID passed. Here. Session ID stored in cookie variable. Session ID stored in cookie variable. After that, what you will do is you will send the second request. You will select some items, shopping items. With that items, ID also passed. Second request plus session ID. Here constructs second response. Here just second response passed. Like this only. Third request and session ID. Like this only. Third response and session ID. Third response only. Second request plus session ID. Third request plus session ID. Constructs third response. Like this, last request, logout request. Logout request plus session ID. What this will do is constructs logout response and vanishes session ID. Here also ID maintained, that is vanished. Logout response. Here vanishes session ID. Now you observe, very first time, I'll ask one question, give me answer. First, I'll teach, after that I'll ask. Very first time, you will enter username password. That is called login request. It will check in a database, given username password exists or not. That is called login response. Constructs login response. If it is user is there, creates a session ID. Response comes, ID comes. Then ID received, stored in cookie variable. Session ID is stored in cookie variable. Next time what you will do, you will select some items. Items are second request. ID comes. With that ID, server will understand these items are selected by this particular user. In that cart, it will be stored. Second response comes. Like that, third request comes. Again, some more items will select. With that, again ID comes. With that ID, it can understand these items are selected by that previous user only. It will store in session ID. Again, stored in cart. Again, response comes. Like the third, again, next request. N number of times you can access. Last logout request comes, session ID comes. Then server will understand this person is going to log out. Then session ID vanished. That response comes. Here also session ID vanished. Now, my question, carefully listen. How many times client will send to server session ID? One time or many times? Many times. How many times server will send session ID to client? One time or many time? What is it? One time only. That is very first time. Login response session ID only. Very first time only, server to browser. But next time onwards, browser to server only. Okay? Write this one. Write this diagram. code, no need to write. Default, by default cookie created. That is, I'll give notes, I'll give. You have seen first session tracking method. Cookies. Is it cookies are secure? No. Anybody can see cookies. So if the confidential data is there, cookies are not suitable. URL rating? No. That is directly displayed in address bar. Okay. Directly we can see. No need of settings also, no need of options also. Directly we can see password also in address bar. That is also not safe. That's what we'll go for third session tracking method. Okay. Is it completed? This third session tracking method, where it is stored? Server. Data stored in server. Confidential data stored in server. But only ID password to client system stored in browser. Even anybody, other people, if they copy your ID, it doesn't work. That is created for that browser only, that particular time only. That ID doesn't work. That ID, that particular client only, that particular time only. Okay. Even anybody, if they see ID also, nothing will happen. If they copy that ID also, nothing will happen. Okay. See. Say file, new, dynamic web project, session 2. Session 2. Next. XML, finish. Now you already studied cookies program. This program only, first program I given like this. Second program I given like this. This is added to URL. With URL I transferred. Now third session tracking method, what I'll do, this ID, this data I'll store in server only. This data I'll store in server only. From this server I'll retrieve. So first program, this data added to client and retrieved from client. Second program, this data added to URL. With that URL I retrieved. Now this is also I'm not writing. Now this data stored in server. From server only it will retrieve. But this type of cart, shopping cart, every user created in server. To recognize the client only, ID created and passed to browser. That is you are going to see. Right click, new, HTML. Books.html. Same program. Next. Finish. HTML program, whatever you studied in cookies program and URL rating program, same program. I am not going to modify single character also. This program, book program. Copy. I'll copy here. I'll paste here. Here, one character also I'm not going to change. Same, no change. Whenever you click on submit button, this is executed. Here, set. It is a URL pattern of set cookies, set URL. Like that, set session I'll write. Book name 1, book 2, book 3, same. Same book, same thing, same program, but session tracking method different. Now, this is same, no change. Right click, new, solid. Session 2. Class name. Set session. Next. Edit. Set. Next. Which type of request coming? Get. So do get. Finish. Year. String S1 equal to request dot get parameter. Parameter name book 1. Same style. String S2 equal to request dot get parameter book 2. Next. String S3 equal to request dot get parameter book 3. These all books you have to add to session. How to add to session? See, set attribute, name of the parameter, name of the attribute, value of the attribute. You can pass. But first HTTP session required. What we have to write? HTTP session HS equal to request dot get session. Now, very first time request comes. What it will do? Is there any new existed session? No. What it will do? Creates a new session and returns. That is only required for us. So HTTP session. HS dot set attribute. Attribute name book 1. See, attribute name book 1, it is string. Attribute value object. Object place, can I pass string? Is it valid? What is the actual parameter of this method? Object. What I passed? String. Is it valid? How it is valid? Which is superclass, which is subclass? Object is superclass, string is subclass. So upcasting. With upcasting feature, valid. With upcasting feature, it is valid. Subclass object or subclass reference assigned to superclass. It is called upcasting. It is valid. Can I pass employee class object? Employee class object. Yes or no? Yes. Employee also subclass of object. Now here any type of data load. Upcasting, downcasting, most important. Subclass object if you assign to superclass, upcasting. Superclass object if you assign to subclass, downcasting. Upcasting always valid. Downcasting requires upcasting. Upcasting done by system implicitly. Downcasting must be done by programmer explicitly. Now it is upcasting. HS dot set attribute book 2. S2. HS dot set attribute book 3. S3. Now after that print writer. Response dot get writer. PW dot println. Your books are added to cart. Anchor tag next hyperlink. Whenever you click on next hyperlink, what we record? href equal to get next solid, get session solid. For this, you can add remaining HTML code. Remaining HTML code you can add. This is remaining HTML code. See here, 3 books retrieved, 3 books added, because anyhow you have to check again. If you, after checking, if you add also, you have to check there. That's what directly I'm adding, later I'm checking. But cookies, what will happen? Selected cookies only comes. That is the reason that is suitable. This is all books I'm adding, later I'm checking. This is set session. Write this program. Set session.java. Set session.java. Write this one. Set session.java. Is it over? Here, set attribute method. How many parameters? 2. First one, second one, object. But S1 is a reference of string. Which is superclass, which is subclass? Object is superclass, string is subclass. Here, object. It is string. Object is superclass, string is subclass. Now, string class reference S1, S2, S3. These are all string class references assigned to object. It is called upcasting. It is called upcasting. Up. So, subclass object or subclass reference assigned to superclass. So, actual parameter is object class, but I passed string. String class object reference assigned to object class. That concept is called upcasting. Upcasting done by system implicitly. Upcasting always valid. Always valid. Okay. Actually, it takes object class. I passed string class. So this concept is called upcasting. Upcasting always valid. Now this one we have to retrieve. This one we have to retrieve in next program. For retrieving, which method you have to call? Get attribute. Get attribute method return type. What is there? Get attribute method return type. See, get attribute method return type is object class. Object class. Then what we have tried? Object O equal to HS dot get attribute book1. Okay, but we required string format. Then string S equal to HS dot get attribute book2. So book1. Now, if I write like this, first line valid, second line valid or not valid? Actually, it returns object. I assigned to object. It is valid. It returns object assigned to string. Is this line is valid or not valid? If I write in Eclipse seeing that red line is there, well, not valid. Red line is not there, valid. Like that, it will give answer. That's what I run. If red line is there, valid, not valid. Red line is not there, valid. Like that, it will give answer. That's what I written here. That line valid or not valid? How many will answer valid? How many will answer not valid? Why it is not valid? It is downcasting. It returns object. It returns object. Object assigned to object. This line valid. But object assigned to string. It is not valid. Object to string, downcasting. Downcasting must be done by programmer explicitly. Then outright. String S equal to, what do you write? In the brackets, what do you write? Object or string? Object, if you write, it is already object. String you have to write. HS dot get attribute. Like this, if you write, valid. Again, it is already object. Object explicitly converted to string, then assigned, then valid. So in next program, we have to write like this. If you write like this, valid. But if you write like this, you cannot access string class methods. If you write like this, you can access string class method, object class method. It is subclass reference. But like this, if you write error, like this, if you write valid, this is downcasting. This type we have to write in the program. That is, we'll see Monday class. Okay. Monday we'll see continuation.